Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you see Busta in the airport too. That motherfucker tried to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake?
No, I never smashed.
Oh, you made love to Drake.
And Cat Williams.
Bro, you smashing a lot of people.
Out of my Diddy mode, I start licking my lip. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yo, Diddy, you gave me the ooshkash goosmash. You gave me the ooshkash muaf, the smooshmash. Diddy. Yeah, son. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You gave me the ooshkash muash. I love it, yo. I love it. You gave me the ooshkash muash.
And
y'all, Orlando Bloom just pulled up with some wild receipts of y'all's faves getting freaky at Diddy's parties, and it looks like many celebs are going to prison. Orlando just lit up things again, and people are talking. He's now saying that a bunch of rappers tied to Diddy have been trying to pay him off to keep quiet about whatever went down between them and Diddy. And honestly, it's not that surprising if you've even heard half the stories floating around about the wild stuff going on at the Diddy parties. But the shocking part, Orlando did not take the money. Instead, he allegedly took his receipts straight to the feds, and there are reports that he's going to testify in front of a jury during that trial. And honestly, it couldn't have come at a worse time. The prosecution's star witness just went missing, and there are rumors that Diddy's people might have gotten to her, and things are about to descend into pure chaos. Y'all, we got to talk about it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it's low-key crazy that Orlando Brown might be the one to take Diddy down once and for all. For a long time, everybody thought that he was just crazy, a crazy guy who used to be on Disney, but here we are. Many people don't know this, but Orlando was one of the first people in the industry to expose Diddy for being a creep. In an interview that recently went viral again, he said some very wild stuff. A couple of years back, Orlando made some wild claims that really got people talking. He straight up said that Diddy gave him oral action, and he didn't exactly hold back on the details either. In his usual over-the-top way, he called it the Gok Gok 3000, the Gosh Gosh Muaf, which definitely had folks taking a double take.
Yo, Diddy, you gave me the ooshkash goosmash. You gave me the ooshkash muaf, the smooshmash. Diddy. Yeah, son. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You gave me the ooshkash muash. I love it, yo. I love it. You gave me the ooshkash muash.
And
he also had something interesting to say about the industry and how it preys on young and vulnerable people like him. Now, at first, Orlando's claims might sound completely outlandish, but when you stack them against the growing list of accusations already aimed at Diddy, they start to sound slightly less far-fetched. Like, take Lil Rod, for example. He came forward with some pretty similar stories about Diddy, and let's just say the pattern is hard to ignore. There's definitely a theme here, and it's not doing Diddy any favors. And this type of pattern is exactly what the federal prosecutors want to establish in their case, which is why Orlando's testimony is so important. Important enough that the feds are allegedly banking on it. Now, I don't know if that makes it a strong case, because folks don't necessarily really take Orlando serious, but Orlando didn't stop there. In another video that quickly went viral, he took things even further. He claimed to have had sexual encounters with several major names in hip-hop, including Drake, Diddy, and Busta Rhymes. Not Busta Bus.
we made love. We made love.
Who you made love with?
Diddy, Bow Wow, Busta Rhymes.
You just told me you see Busta in the airport too. That motherfucker tried to act like he didn't know you. You smashed Drake?
No, I never smashed.
Oh, you made love to Drake.
And Cat Williams. What's his name?
Bro, you smashing a lot of people.
Well, the way that this list is packed with names who've been dodging these DL rumors for years is just wild. Like Busta Rhymes. Every time I gotta go and then I gotta get it, then I gotta get it, then I gotta go to get it. Well, his name stays getting tossed around about as fast and as often as his rhymes. It stays in a conversation, no matter how tight-lipped he tries to be. For someone who's worked overtime to keep his image clean, the streets clearly didn't get the memo, because the whispers never really stopped, and lately the tea has been kind of overflowing, because just a few months back, things got even messier when Busta's former bodyguard came out with some serious bold claims. According to him, Busta was allegedly getting a little too close for comfort with his gay lawyer, and even going so far as to pay for gay men to hang out in his VIP section at the club.
But all my promoter homies would always say, man, we gotta bring some, we gotta bring some, what they call them, I'm not gonna say that on there. They call them fun boys. They'd say we gotta have some fun boys in the section for Busta. Cause I bodyguarded for Ghostface Killer before, you feel me? And being around him, you hear things, you feel me? I'm like, damn. And my auntie like the biggest Busta Rhymes fan, you feel me? Like every cookout she playing it, all his little fast rapping, all of that, him and Craig Mack playing that. Bro, on my soul, I'm out with a group of people. At this time, I was with Don Benjamin. You familiar with him? Model dude, like a model guy. He was doing like some rapping and stuff. His name Don Benjamin. I'm out with Don Benjamin. And the club we ended up going to, Busta Rhymes in there. So it was a little lawyer guy that was with us. And the little lawyer guy we was with, he was a gay dude, super cool, tell me good guy. Bro, Busta Rhymes wanted him in his section so bad. Like, what? Pulled him to the section, like through the rope, and tucked him off in the corner. So I'm looking like, well, he ain't come with us. But I know he was in the little group. So if I go out with somebody, like a group of people, I try to make sure that everybody get there together and leave together. No, he stayed with them. He stayed in there with them, bro. For sure.
But as if the bodyguard's tea wasn't messy enough, another YouTuber came forward with their own story about Busta. According to them, Busta allegedly tried to shoot his shot when he invited him to come chill in his VIP section at the club.
And I'm walking across the street and Busta Rhymes just grabbed my hand. And he holding my hand. Now I ain't know it was Busta at first. Busta Rhymes tall. I'm sure I came up to about right here. So the first thing I noticed was this big ass flip mode chain that was blinding me. So I look at the chain and I look up, I'm like, oh, what's up, Busta? What's up? Now he holding my hand the whole time. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, what you doing? And I was like, oh, me and my people, we about to go to this club around the corner. What's up, man? And then I noticed throughout my peripheral vision, the side eye, this big bodyguard in black. Just standing there, looking around, looked at me, still looking around. Meanwhile, Busta still got my hand in his hand. And he says, I'm about to go in this club. We got a section. You can come in with me if you want. And I'm like, word, for real? Like, that's what's up. Like, he was like, yeah. I was like, well, I gotta, tell my people. I was like, I come in, you know what I'm saying? He was like, okay, just let me know, tell them that you coming in there to meet with me and come on up. And I was like, bet.
The fact that more than one person is coming out with these kinds of claims, it's starting to look a little too consistent to ignore. But the stories, of course, kept piling up. And whether it's smoke or full-blown fire, one thing's for sure, it's definitely messy. And don't even get me started on the drag rumors. People have been calling him Zesty for years, but nothing solid has ever come out fully. But if something does come out, most folks won't even flinch. The rumors have been around for so long, it's almost like everybody's just waiting for another shoe to drop. And honestly, with some of the flirty behavior and little moments that have raised eyebrows over the years, it's no wonder people are paying close attention. And at this point, it's like folks are just sitting back waiting to see if something finally comes to light. Well, Orlando took things a step further, claiming that he was allegedly used by these people, causing him so much trauma that his mental health was affected. And that's clear to see, because it's not surprising. There's been a lot of concern about his mental health in the past. It all started back in 2007, right after That's So Raven wrapped, and when Orlando got busted for possession in Houston, Texas. That was the beginning of his legal issues. Then in 2011, he got arrested again, this time for a DUI, making everything even more complicated. It was like Orlando just couldn't escape this cycle of bad decisions, and each run-in with the law only made things worse. Despite his attempts to turn things around, he couldn't stay out of trouble, and eventually, a judge sentenced him to 6 months behind bars. But even after doing that time, the drama didn't end. As time passed, it was clear that Orlando was still struggling with addiction. People had mixed emotions about him. Some felt sorry for him, thinking he was just another victim of the harsh Hollywood machine that thrust him into fame at such a young age. Others saw him as just another former child star who let all the fame and fortune lead him down a rough road. It became obvious that Orlando was struggling with some deep personal issues, and his family tried to step in and encourage him to go to rehab. At first, he seemed willing to give it a shot, showing some hope that he could turn things around and face his challenges head on. But unfortunately, this just didn't last long. Just a week into rehab, Orlando checked himself out. Since the treatment wasn't mandatory by the courts, there wasn't much anybody could do to help him make him stay. But as an adult, he had the right to make his own choices. Then sadly, he decided to leave before finishing the program. At the same time, Orlando's behavior became more unpredictable, showing that his struggles went beyond just addiction. Things really took a strange turn during his appearance on Dr. Phil, where he made some outlandish claims saying he was Michael Jackson's son. But that wasn't the end of it. Orlando started spinning a whole web of bizarre stories, and he said he was married with 4 kids, but he couldn't even remember their names. He also contradicted himself, claiming to see his kids regularly, then saying he barely saw them at all. It was clear his grip on reality was starting to slip more and more each day.
I want my kids to be with me at Neverland. I just don't want to.
And how old are your kids?
I got a 2-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old. I think he's 8 and 11.
All right. Now, and what's the 2-year-old's name?
2-year-old, still in the belly. Still in the belly. We don't know yet.
Okay. And what's the 5-year-old's name?
That's Mason.
And the 11-year-old?
Shyler.
Okay. Can I show you something?
Yeah.
I asked you before if you had kids. You said, yes, I have 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, what are their ages? You said 2, 5, 11, and 16.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
oldest.
what's the 2-year-old's name? You said Shyler.
Okay.
The 5-year-old is Mason.
Right.
The 11-year-old is John.
Right.
16-year-old, I don't know. I got to find out.
Right.
I asked you this time. You said the 2-year-old don't know the name because it's still in the belly.
That's because I have a baby on the way as well. I just mentioned
So
that.
the 2-year-old is still in the belly. So that means that child has been in there for 2 years.
Not necessarily.
And then you said the 5-year-old is Mason. Then you said there's an 8-year-old. Up here, you didn't say there was an 8.
However, he finally committed to going to rehab. He got clean, and now he's supposedly getting his life back on track. Now, we don't know what his personal journey has been like, but it's a known fact that survivors often find peace when they talk about the traumatic things that happened to them. It's a common exercise in therapy, and this would explain why Orlando has been speaking up about the things that he saw with Diddy. However, it turns out that Diddy does not like being exposed, shocker, and a few months after Orlando made his revelations, he claimed that Diddy and his goons had threatened him.
Diddy's trying to kill me. You know, Diddy and Jay-Z, Auntie Sean and Auntie Yolanda. No matter how many contracts you try to take out on my life, no matter how many times you try to threaten my family or threaten people to stay away from me, no matter how many things you try to do to me and how many things you've tried to do to me, it ain't working. It's not working, Auntie Sean and Auntie Yolanda, Diddy and Jay-Z. Don't play with somebody that you know got the drop on you. Okay? Got the drop on you. God sent me to ruin y'all.
Allegedly. But this is exactly the type of testimony that might just save the prosecution's case, because according to reports, their star witness has gone missing. Y'all, according to reports, feds admitted that one of their 4 key witnesses set to testify in New York, the federal trial, may not turn up to take the witness stand. And this is a serious piece because a huge part of the Fed's case was riding on this one witness, apparently. And in case you missed it, last month, the Feds filed a superseding indictment against Diddy, adding 3 new victims. The new indictment said, at all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, the defendant, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. This was at times verbal, emotional, physical, and a part of this pattern of abuse Combs manipulated women to participate in orchestrated performances of sexual activity with Combs. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women in commercial workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them and controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support and threatening to cut off the same and using intimidation and violence. Then they also added new charges, writing, Combs and other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause, including but not limited to 3 female victims, 1 victim, 2, and 3, to engage in commercial acts in connection with the commercial acts. Combs provided the victims with, among other things, monetary payments, career opportunities, and payment of rent and housing expenses. Yo, it kept going. Some of the commercial acts involved male commercial workers and were referred to by Combs as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of other members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial across state lines and internationally. So y'all, Diddy allegedly has been forcing women to sleep with other men at his parties in exchange for money. Now, before we dive into what the feds have to say about all this, let's make one thing very clear. Did not want to participate in these activities. According to the feds, Diddy allegedly coerced her into doing so, then had her take payment for it. The reasoning behind this is that they claim he wanted to deny any wrongdoing, arguing that she was just getting paid for the services she provided. And given how many people online have been quick to judge victims of Diddy's wild parties, it's easy to see how this could discredit anybody trying to speak out against him. Y'all, the indictment said, from at least in or about 2009 up to and including or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and solicited by any means a person to engage in commercial act and willfully caused the same, to wit. Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained 1 and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused 1 to engage in commercial acts, knowing in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 1 was engaging in commercial acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. Well, like I said, the victims didn't want to do it, and given Cassie's claims of how Diddy forced her to do things that she didn't want to do, it's hard not to see why more women might fall victim. And speaking of Cassie, the feds claim that even after Cassie exposed him in 2023, he continued to engage in these shenanigans up until the time he was raided and arrested. The document said, from at least in or about 2021 up to and including about 2024 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs knowingly recruited, enticed, and solicited by any means a person, knowing that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial act, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained 2, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused 2 to engage in commercial acts, knowing in reckless disregard of the fact that victim 2 was engaging in commercial sex acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. So y'all, even after all that stuff went down, Diddy was still allegedly throwing these freak-offs and forcing women to do whatever he wanted. The feds are also trying to push for the court to make Diddy forfeit the assets he gained from what they're calling his alleged criminal empire. And considering most of his wealth comes from Bad Boy and its related ventures, he might be running out of money faster than anybody expected. The document said, as a result of committing an offense alleged in count 1 of his indictment, Sean Combs shall forfeit to the United States any and all interests, securities of, claims against, and property or contractual rights of any kind affording a source of influence over the enterprise named and described herein, which the defendant established, operated, controlled, conducted, and participated in the conduct of, and any and all property constituting and derived from the proceeds obtained, directly and indirectly, said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency, representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission and said offense. Basically, we collected any and all money. They also said, defendant shall forfeit to the United States any and all property, real and personal, involved in, used, or intended to be used to commit or facilitate the commission of said offenses, and any and all property traceable to such property, any and all property, real and personal, constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of said offenses, including but not limited to a sum of money in the United States currency representing the amount of property involved in said offenses and proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. So basically, they want all of his properties too. Of all the 3 victims, 3 is allegedly one of the biggest of the case, and a huge chunk of the prosecution's case is hanging on her testimony, which is why it's really bad that she's gone missing. According to reports, it was during jury selection on Wednesday that prosecutors told Judge Subramanian that they may have lost one of their 4 victims Combs scheduled to testify as they make their case against the fallen rap mogul. The witness named 3 in the indictment was set to tell the court how Combs had coerced her into sexual acts and how she was exploited by him. The prosecution said that they were now unsure if 3 would turn up to the trial. The prosecution also said, "We do not know whether she intends to appear, and we are trying very hard to find out because we are having trouble communicating with her counsel." Y'all know the interesting part about all this, though, is that last week, 3 finally agreed to use her real name while testifying in court. Do y'all really want to believe that it's a coincidence that last week she finally agreed to reveal her identity, and this week she's suddenly gone missing? Yeah, it's very suspicious, and fans are saying that Diddy's probably got to her, which is why Orlando's claims are super important to the feds. His testimony might be the prosecution's real saving grace, which is why they want to put him on the stand. But something tells me that with the way that Orlando's acted in the past, it might get messier than anybody could have ever imagined. But in the meantime, y'all drop your thoughts and comments below and check out this next video.